differs from animal cell by possessing that. We know that plants and animal cell have certain organelles in common. Both of them have nucleus, they both have mitochondria, they both have Golgi apparatus, and so on and so forth. But there are some organelles that are only exclusive to plant cells. Organelles like chloroplast, organelles like plastid, for example. But in the case of animal cells, we have organelles like lysosome, we have organelles like centrioles. So the correct answer for this is chloroplast. Chloroplast is exclusive to plant cells. Animal cells don't have chloroplast. So the answer to question number 61 is definitely option A, chloroplast. Number 62. Sudan 3 reagent is used to test for the presence of fat and oil. And we know another name for fat and oil is lipid. So we use Sudan 3 reagent to test for the presence of fat and oil in a food sample. By the way, apart from Sudan 3 reagent, we can also make use of osmic acid to test for fat and oil. If osmic acid is used, the presence of fat and oil will be indicated by the formation of a black precipitate. So the correct answer for number 62 is definitely option A, lipid. Let's go to number 63. The mode of nutrition in yeast is that we all know that yeast is a saprophyte. It feeds on dead, decaying organic matter. So the correct answer for this is saprophytic. Yeast, just like fungi, lack chlorophyll, and because of that, they can't manufacture their own food. They feed on dead, decaying organic matter. That makes them to be saprophytic in nature. So the correct answer once again is option E, yeast. The mode of nutrition in yeast is saprophytism. Let's go to number 64. We are to use the diagram here to answer questions 64 and 65. And even taking a look at this diagram, you can see this is definitely a diagram of Chlamydomonas. So let's look at what question 64 has to say. The diagram represents a or an. So like I've said earlier, it's a diagram of a plant called Chlamydomonas. So the correct answer for number 64 is definitely B. Let's look at number 65. The part label 1 is, let's take a look at the diagram to know what the part label 1 is. So that's the part label 1, and this is a flagellum. That's what it uses for locomotion. So let's go to the option and see which option contains Roman figure 1. That is flagellum. So the correct answer for number 65 is the flagellum. Let's go to number 66. Photosynthesis takes place in the part labeled that. I've told you earlier that the diagram is a Chlamydomonas, a plant. So which means it contains chloroplast. So let's look at the diagram once again to see which of the part is labeled as the chloroplast. This is definitely the chloroplast. That is the part labeled 4, Roman figure 4. So let's go to number 66 to see which one, Roman figure 4. That's definitely option D. So let's go to number 67. Treponema pallidum is a pathogen that causes that. We know the pathogen. Treponema pallidum is a bacterium that is responsible for syphilis. So Treponema pallidum is a pathogen that causes a venereal disease called syphilis. That's option D. Let's go to number 68. Which of the following is not part of alimentary canal of a bird? Now looking at the option, the correct answer is trachea. Trachea is not part of the alimentary canal. Instead, trachea is part of the respiratory tract of an organism. So for number 68, the correct answer is definitely option E, trachea. Let's go to number 69. Plants use nitrogen in the form of that. We know that nitrogen is one of the macro minerals needed for proper growth of plants. Now the question is asking, in what form do plants make use of nitrogen? Plants make use of nitrogen in form of soluble nitrates. So the correct answer for this is option C. So plants use nitrogen in form of nitrates. 69. The correct option is option C. Let's go to the 78th question, number 17. Fasciola hepatica is also called that. There is a particular endoparasite called liver fluke, and the scientific name for liver fluke is Fasciola hepatica. It affects the liver Hence, the name hepatica. We know that the word hepatic has to do with the organ liver. So, liver fluke is also called fasciola hepatica. So, for number 70, the correct answer is option B. Let's go to number 71. The process of returning nitrogen into the atmosphere is called that. Remember, one of the ways in which nitrogen is lost from the soil is denitrification. Denitrification is a process whereby gaseous nitrogen is escaping to the atmosphere. So the correct answer for number 71 is B, denitrification. Escape of gaseous nitrogen back to the atmosphere. Don't forget that nitrification actually leads to the depletion of nitrogen in the soil. So for number 71, B is the correct answer. Number 72. The opening through which light enters the eye is known as the pupil. The pupil of the eye, that is the opening through which light enters the eye. Don't forget that iris is the colored path, of the eye. So if you have a question asking you, the colored part of the eye is called that. The correct answer will be iris. But the opening in the eye through which light enters is the pupil, whereas the retina is actually the part of the eye that contains the cells that are responsive to light, photoreceptors. So the correct answer once again for number 72 is option D, the pupil. Let's go to number 73. Okay, so before we go to number 73, don't forget is uploaded. Thank you very much. Now let's switch our attention back to the question number 73. The suckers of a tapeworm are for that. Remember that tapeworm is an example of endoparasite, and the suckers and the hooks in tapeworm are used for anchorage. Anchorage means they use it to attach to the gut of the host so that they are not dislodged from the alimentary canal of that particular host. So you can see the correct answer for this is holding fast to the host gut. So the suckers and the hooks of a tapeworm are for holding fast to the host gut. The correct answer for number 73 is option C. Let's look at number 74. Digestion of carbohydrates in man starts from the definitely mouth. Now, digestion of carbohydrate begins from the mouth. A person puts, say, any carbohydrate food like yam in the mouth, you begin to chew it. Digestion has actually begun from the chewing. Not only that, the enzyme present in the saliva called salivary amylase or ptyalin also acts on that particular starch and breaks it down to maltose. So digestion of carbohydrate obviously starts or begins from the mouth. Option A. Number 75. An element required in large quantity by a plant is that. Don't forget that minerals required by a plant are broken down into two depending on the quantity in which they are required. Minerals required by a plant in large quantity are called macro minerals, and that is what the question here is asking us. And the correct answer here is magnesium. Don't forget that magnesium is actually needed by plant for the manufacturing of chlorophyll. So the function of magnesium in plant is formation of chlorophyll. So magnesium is a macro mineral, carbon is a macro mineral, hydrogen is a macro mineral, and so on and so forth. Whereas boron, cobalt, sulfur, and zinc are micro mineral. They are only needed in minute or small amounts. So the correct answer once again for number 75 is option C. Number 76. An example of a monosaccharide is that. Let's first of all look at what a monosaccharide is. Monosaccharides are sometimes also called reducing sugars. They are the monomers of polysaccharides. And we have three major examples of monosaccharides. We have glucose, we have fructose, and then we have galactose. And if you look at the option here, out of the three that I've mentioned, the correct answer, the one that is present here, is glucose. So an example of a monosaccharide is glucose. If you look at cellulose, it is a polysaccharide made up of several glucose, which is monosaccharide. Lactose is a disaccharide. Disaccharide in the sense that even the word di symbolizes two. So lactose is a disaccharide made up of glucose and galactose. Whereas sucrose is also another disaccharide made up of glucose and fructose. And maltose is also a disaccharide made up of 2 molecules of glucose. So once again, an example of monosaccharide is glucose. Other examples of monosaccharides apart from glucose are fructose and galactose. So the correct answer for 76 is B. Let's go to number 77. The following are characteristics of enzymes except. Now, enzymes have various characteristics. They are specific in action, they are proteinous in action, they are activated by certain substances called coenzymes, which are not proteinous. They operate at a certain optimum temperature, they are inactivated or they are denatured by extreme temperature, and so on and so forth. And if you look at this, the following are characteristic of enzyme except. Enzymes are needed in small quantities, so this is definitely a characteristic of enzyme. They are protein in nature. I just mentioned that. This is definitely a characteristic of an enzyme. They are specific in action. I've mentioned that also. This is also a characteristic of enzyme. They are reversible in action. That's right, because enzyme catalyze reversible reaction. The one that is not a characteristic of a reversible reaction is they work at all temperatures. Enzymes don't work at all temperatures. As a matter of fact, like I said, enzymes are actually denatured or destroyed by excessive or too much temperature. As a matter of fact, the optimal temperature for enzymatic action is between 35 to 37 degrees Celsius. So the correct answer, out of these characteristics, the one that isn't a characteristic of an enzyme is work at all temperatures. Enzymes don't work at all temperatures. They work at certain range of temperature. And the optimal temperature for enzymatic action is between 35 to 37 degrees Celsius. So option E is the correct answer in this case. Let's go to number 78. An example of insectivorous plant is dash. Now, if I'm talking about insectivorous plant, they are also called carnivorous plants. And this kind of plant are not just found in any area. Insectivorous plants are found in nitrogen deficient soil. Hence, they kill insects, they trap insects, kill them, digest them, and absorb the nitrogen in them to supplement the deficiency of nitrogen in the soils in which they are found. And we have various examples of insectivorous plants. We have Venus flytrap, we have pitcher plant, bladderwort, and so on and so forth. And if you take a look at the examples here, the correct answer is option C. Venus flytrap is definitely an example of an insectivorous plant. Let's go to number 79. The light sensitive part of the eye is called dash. That's definitely the retina. The retina is the part of the eye that is sensitive to light. As a matter of fact, retina is the part of the eye that possesses or that contains what we refer to as photoreceptors. Even the word photo symbolizes light. So the correct answer is option E. Let's go to number 80. Oryza sativa is the botanical name for definitely. Oryza sativa is the botanical name for rice. So that's the correct answer, option E. Let's go to number 81. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share our videos. And also, you are advised to put on the notification bell so that when a new content like this is uploaded, you will be promptly notified. Thank you very much. Now, let's go to number 81. The dentition, incisor 22, canine 11, premolar 22, and molar 33 is found in dash. That's definitely the dental. This is the dental formula for man. We know in a man, the number of permanent teeth in a man is 32. And how do we calculate that? We just add 2 plus 1, 3. 3 plus 2, that's 5. 5 plus 3, that's 8. Then we multiply the 8 by 2. That's the upper jaw. We do the same thing for the lower one. 2 plus 1, 3. 3 plus 2, that's 5. 5 plus 3, that's 8. 8 multiplied by 2, that also gives us 8 times 2. So this gives 16. This also gives us 16. And if we add it together, 32. And we all know that the number of permanent teeth in human or in a man is 32. So this dental formula displayed here is definitely the dentition formula for man. Let's go to number 82. The term syncampus is used to describe a flower when the carpels are dashed. Now, syncarpel, there are some flowers that are called that possess syncarpus ovary. Now, syncarpus ovary refers to a flower that have many carpels that are fused together. So if you look at the option here, many and fused. So a syncarpous flower is a flower that have many carpels, that is more than 2 carpels, and they are fused together. They are not separate. That is that. By the way, the opposite of syncarpous is apocarpous, when there are several carpels but they are separate, they are not fused together. So the correct answer for number 82, a syncarpous flower is a flower comprising many carpels and the carpels are all fused together. That makes option C to be the correct answer. Number 83. Breathing in mammals is accompanied by regular movement of the diaphragm, and thus we know that during breathing, either breathing out, which is called expiration, or breathing in, which is called inspiration, there is this rhythmical movement of the diaphragm. We know that diaphragm is that muscular tissue that separates the upper abdomen from the lower abdomen, and also the external and the internal intercostal muscles. So breathing is brought about by movement of the diaphragm and also intercostal muscles. So for number 83, the correct answer is option C. Let's look at number 84. Caudal vertebra is located in the dash. In humans, for example, there are 5 types of vertebra. We have cervical vertebra, which is located in the neck region. There are 7 of them. We have the thoracic vertebra located in the chest region. There are 12 of them. We have the lumbar vertebra located in the upper abdomen. There are 5 of them. We have the sacral vertebra. And in man, the 5 sacral vertebra are all fused together to form a single bone called sacrum. It is located in the lower abdomen. And then the 5th one is the caudal vertebra, which the question is asking here, and is located in the tail region. In men, the 4 caudal vertebrae are fused together to form a single bone that is referred to as coccyx. And don't forget, coccyx is an example of a vestigial organ. You will remember a vestigial organ is an organ that doesn't have a particular role it plays in the body. Apart from coccyx, another vestigial organ in the body is the appendix. Appendix serves no particular role in the body. So caudal vertebra is located in the tail region. Let's go to number 85. Spiracle in insect is used for definitely for gaseous exchange, for respiration. That's the correct answer. So in insects, spiracle is used for respiration. Let's go to number 86. The process by which an organism maintains a stable or constant internal environment is called homeostasis. By definition, homeostasis is the maintenance of a fairly constant internal environment in an organism. So the correct answer is definitely option D. Let's go to number 87. The number of cervical vertebrae in man is, I actually mentioned that when I was explaining the caudal vertebrae the other time. Cervical vertebrae are located in the neck region, and there are 7 of them in number. So the correct answer is option C. Let's go to number 88. The respiratory organ in fish is dash. Now, fish is an aquatic organism. So, all fish, apart from a particular fish called lungfish, uses gill for respiration. So, the correct answer here is option A, gill. And by extension, the exact part of a gill that is involved in respiration is called the gill filament, because we also have a gill is made up of 3 components. The gill filament, which is where respiration takes place, the gill raca, which is used for feeding, and then the gill arc, which holds the filament together. So the correct answer, the respiratory organ that fishes use for respiration is gill. Number 89. Spider belongs to the class. We know that spider is present. It belongs to the phylum called Arthropoda. Don't forget that Arthropoda is the largest phylum in the animal kingdom. And there are 4 classes under Arthropoda. We have class Insecta, we have class Myriapoda, we have class Crustacea, and then we have class Arachnida, which is the correct answer here. Spider, scorpion, tick, all of them belong to the class Arachnida. So, and not only that, it is worthy of note that out of the 4 classes that are present in Arthropoda, class Insecta, class Crustacea, class Arachnida, and also class Myriapoda, what distinguishes the class Arachnida from the rest is the absence of antenna. Spider, for example, doesn't have antenna, but you have antenna in crustacean, in insects, and also in myriapoda like centipede and millipede. So spider belong to the class called Arachnidae. Let's go to number 90. An example of organ is that we know that we have various levels of organization. We have cell. An amoeba, for example, belongs to the cellular level of organization. And of an unlaid egg, an unfertilized egg, for example, also belongs to the cellular level. Not only that, a group of similar cells performing a particular function is called a tissue. Like I've mentioned in the course of today's video, blood is a liquid tissue. Bone is also a tissue. Now, next to that is an organ. Now, an organ is a group of tissue that perform a specific function. Heart is an organ. Lung is an organ. The human eye is an organ. We have liver being an organ, and so on and so forth. So the correct answer here is heart. Heart is an organ. Let's move on to number 91. The hormone that induces ripening of fruit is known as dash. I've explained that also in the course of this video. Ethylene is the hormone, is the plant hormone that aids ripening of fruit. So the correct answer for this is option D, ethylene. It induces ripening of fruits. If you look at option D, gibberellin, the major function of gibberellin is stem elongation. Not only that, if you look at cytokinin, it aids fast cell division. If you look at abscisic acid, the function of abscisic acid is it induces falling of leaf. And if you look at auxin, auxin is the most important plant hormone. It aids apical dominance. Not only that, auxin also controls all these tropic movements like phototropism, hydrotropism, and so on and so forth. So the hormone that induces ripening of fruit is ethylene, number 92. The part of the egg that controls permeability and prevents water loss is definitely the shell. Shell controls permeability. It controls how the egg is permeable to entering or the exit of various substances, majorly gases, and it also prevents the egg from desiccation or drying out. So the correct answer here is definitely option D. The part of the egg that controls permeability and prevents water loss is the egg shell. Let's go to number 93. Termites are called social insects because now we have some organisms, we refer to them as social insects. And essentially, the reason why they are called social insects because they live in communities, they live together in groups. So the correct answer for this is option D. Termites are called social insects because the termites live together in group. We know that termites live together in group in a termitarium. And by the way, in termites have different castes. In termites, you have the king. In termites, you have the queen. The king mates with the queen. That's the function of the king. Now, the queen lays the egg. Not only that, in termites, you also have the worker that helps to build the termitarium, and also you also have the soldiers. Apart from termites, bees are also example of social insects or social animals, if you will. And in the case of bee, there are only three major castes of bees. You have the drone, which is the male. It mates with the queen once and dies. You have the queen that lays the egg, and then you have the worker. The function of the worker is to actually gather pollen, grains, and nectar. The workers are actually the one that primarily produce all these honey that we consume. So the correct answer for this, termites are called social insects because they live together in groups. Number 94. Photoreceptors is located at the retina. One of the questions we took before was asking us which part of the eye is sensitive to light. And in my explanation, I told us that the part of the eye that is sensitive to light is the retina. And I want further to say that the retina actually contains certain cells that are called photoreceptors. So the correct answer for this is retina. Photoreceptor is located in the retina. That's option E. Let's go to number 95. The part of the flower that receives pollen grain is that. Don't forget, there is a particular concept called pollination. And pollination refers to the transfer of pollen grain from the anther to the stigma. So pollen grain leaves the anther, and the destination of the pollen grain, the part of the flower that receives that pollen grain that has left the anther, is the stigma. So the part of the flower that receives the pollen grain is definitely option D, the stigma. Let's go to number 96. The following are vectors of diseases except. What do you mean by vectors? Vectors are those organisms that help in carrying disease-causing organisms. Now, be careful here. Vectors are not causing diseases per se. What they do is to transfer those pathogens that cause the disease. For example, let's make use of malaria. For example, the vector for malaria is the female Anopheles mosquito. It is not the female. It is not the female Anopheles mosquito that actually causes the malaria. The causative agent of malaria is the Plasmodium falciparum, but it is the female Anopheles mosquito that serves as a vector that helps to carry that disease-causing pathogen. So, if you look at all of this, we can see that the only one out of this option that do not serve as a vector for diseases is B. Cockroach is a vector of disease. Housefly, for example, is a vector for housefly, for example, is a vector for cholera. It carries all these Vibrio cholerae. Mosquito, I've just mentioned that, is also a vector. Not only that, this is fly. That's the vector that carries the trypanosome, which is the one that causes trypanosomiasis or sleeping sickness. So the correct answer for number 96 is A. B is not a carrier of disease-causing organism, so it is not a vector. Let's go to number 97. The diagram, we are asked to use this diagram to answer questions 97 and 98. So let's take a look at question number 97. The diagram represents transverse section of a or an. Let's look at the diagram again. By merely looking at this, we can see this is a section of an orange. So let's look at number 97. That's definitely option D. So that is the diagram we just looked at a while ago, is a section of an orange. So the correct answer here is option D. Let's look at number 98. The type of placentation shown is that the type of placentation that is present in an orange is an exile placentation. That is option A. Let's look at number 99. The behavioral pattern that describes adaptive coloration is called dash. Activation, camouflage, hibernation, migration, and mimicry. Now, the operative word here is adaptive coloration. The correct answer is camouflage. At times, organisms camouflage themselves so that they actually blend in with their environment, therefore escaping from predators, or prey can also camouflage themselves so that they can escape from predators, and even the predator can also camouflage themselves so that prey will not be able to notice them and as a result of that escape. For example, if you look at leopard have a lot of patterns on their body. That is an example of adaptive coloration. We call it disruptive coloration. So the correct answer for this is camouflage. Let's go to the last question. The part of the air that collects sound wave is that. The part of our air that collects sound wave is this, and we refer to this one as the air pinna. So the correct answer is option E. The function of ear pinna is it collects sound wave and then it directs the sound wave towards the tympanal membrane, which is also called the ear drum. So the correct answer for number 100 is option A.